Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing good. I am taking me a lunch break, eating some tuna. Got my Doritos, mandarin flavor. It's the bomb. But yes, I'm going to talk some more about spirituality. And I want to focus on. I get a lot of comments, especially today. I've gotten a lot of comments about, you know, to not rely on yourself, but to rely only on the Word of God and on the Bible. And so I'm going to address it once again. And what I'm going to say today is that every person sees the world from a different perspective. Every single soul. You might speak a different language. You might have went to a different school. You see things from a different perspective. And every person that reads the Bible sees the Bible from a different perspective. It's inevitable. And everyone interprets the Bible differently. And other people are not going to interpret the Bible the way that you interpret the Bible. This is why you have denominations. This being said, all of you are relying on yourselves. None of you are relying on the Word of God, depending on what aspect of your life you're speaking about. So, when you read the Bible, you are relying on your interpretation, on your capacity to comprehend what is in that Bible. Therefore, you're relying on your heart, on your knowledge, on the programs that are within you. So you're totally relying on yourself. What I'm speaking is my interpretation, not just of the Bible, but my living and breathing existence on this earth. My experiences speak to me. My heart speaks to me. The Bible speaks to me. Stories speak to me. Movies speak to me. Every expression of humanity is speaking to all of us. And like I was saying, every existence is like dropping a stone in a pond. And it's alchemy. It's all mixing and working together. It's that beautiful dance that is existence. And my interpretation of the Bible is highly different than others. But this doesn't mean that I'm damned. It doesn't mean any of those things. Maybe in your world, that's what it means. And that's okay for you. But it's not what it means for me. And then another thing that I get a lot is people saying, maybe you should do this or maybe you should do that. And, I never got that. When I decided to start my own business, when I decided I'm going to do this, I felt it in my heart. I felt it in my spirit. This is something that is maybe going to be good for me. I don't know, but it's something that I'm driven to do in my spirit. And from the day I started doing what I do, I have not stopped working. I have not been without work since I've started doing what I do. And that's been 5 years ago now. So when I started Echoes of Manifestation, it was a compelling. It was in my spirit. And these are interpretations, perceptions of my own. But I've been going through these realizations, epiphanies, whatever you want to call them, for many, many years. Since 2012. And I'll tell you, my first one, I was really, really down in despair. I was really depressed about some life circumstances at the time. And, I was sitting out in my yard where I lived at the time, and I was sitting in the sun, and I went into a state of meditation. I didn't even know what meditation was then, but I went into a theta state. And God spoke to me. And when God speaks, it's, in your spirit. It's just an epiphany. That's God speaking to you. And I realized that the ants that were crawling on the flowers next to me, they have a whole existence of their own. And they perceive reality much differently than I do. And as I began to contemplate this, I went into the temple and I contemplated it and contemplated it. I began to unlock more realizations about this. And what I realized was that not only do the ants perceive everything differently, but so does everything. And they perceive time differently. Time is perceived on a biological foundation. So you are in a vessel. You are the observer of your vessel. And you are using this vessel like a tool to navigate this reality. And just like that ant. And that ant is perceiving time based upon the metabolic processes within its body, the chemical processes within its body. And a fly experiences, 24 hours is a lifetime, as a fly. We can argue about that, but I'm making a point. So to them, they've lived an entire lifetime. Same with a rabbit, same with a dog. Their lifetime is a full life. And they are perceiving this existence totally differently. They have different chemical processes, different tools to perceive the reality that they are in. So time, in a sense, is biologically experienced. You are passing through this energy, this quantum reality, and the experience or the observation of passing through that quantum reality is based upon your perspective. And perspective is everything. It's going to determine your entire experience. So, damning someone or judging someone based upon their interpretation, I think is it's limiting yourself. It's really limiting yourself. And for somebody who's a bit weaker, you're limiting them. You're really pressuring them to do the opposite of what their spirit is telling them to do. I'm not out here speaking, that sacrifice and these things are good, they're the way. What I'm speaking is basically, my spiritual perspective. And the reason why I'm speaking it is because I feel compelled to speak it. And because it makes me feel good. And it gives me that doorway to make that part of my life a focus. The money of the universe is not dollar bills. The money of the universe is attention. And what you focus on, you're cultivating. Where attention goes, energy flows. And contemplate that. Go into the temple, to the Holy Land, and contemplate that. Because if you do, you will unlock doors to your life, your personal life, that are priceless. When you're able, I'll give you an example. When someone is so fixated and focused on, God, why won't you change this? God, why won't you change this? There's a few things that you're doing wrong. You are feeding and cultivating the existence of that experience. You're walking in that direction. The moment you put your consciousness and your attention, you're paying for it. sometimes experiences are determined in the spirit realm. So these are things that are needed in order to unlock your purpose. And that's a whole discussion as well. So this is why faith is so important. Why it's so important to focus more on your internal vibration, your internal state of beingness, than it is to focus on anything else on earth. Because that is going to determine the chemical processes and the tools that you're using to perceive the reality you're in. And that will determine your reaction to reality and your interpretation of it. So, this is a long video, and peace, love, and harmony out there to everybody. I hope your vibe is up today. I hope you guys are ready for a new age, because I'm telling you, it is coming. And everyone's going to interpret and perceive the coming of that differently. But if you set yourself up and you cultivate doorways and you cultivate parts of yourself in preparedness for this new age, you will not regret it. So, love you guys.